And as some of you know, and some of you don't know, at the Well, we love sharing our testimonies of God's goodness and what He's done in our life. And so today we have an awesome story from Miss Keonah. So we'll welcome her up here.
Hello, everyone. Can we hear me, everyone? Yeah? Okay. My name's Keonah. I'm a sophomore here at Grand Valley, and my major is nursing. I'm also on the Salvationality team. So a little bit about me. I come from a family of 5 kids, so a lot going on there. At a young age, my parents divorced, so my family's kind of broken in its own beauty. And a lot of my childhood led to many dark times for me, and from a very young age, I became a very anxious person. Due to things that I experienced, we're not going to get into that, but as I went into middle school, I tried to find friendships to fill those gaps of like my anxiety and whatnot, and I had been going to church like my whole life because of my grandparents. Neither of my parents are Christian. But like I always knew who God was, but I didn't have that like one-on-one relationship with Him. I was just like, yeah, Jesus is my Savior, but I didn't know Him. And so I always tried to fulfill my emptiness with friends and my loneliness with friends. And from a very young age, I learned that that wasn't right. And going into high school, especially during like sophomore year of COVID, I really struggled with feeling empty and alone, and like I didn't matter, and my anxiety had become overwhelming and took over who I was as a person. And like if you know me, you know I can talk to anyone. Like I can just go up and say, hey, my name's Keonah, who are you, blah, blah, blah. But at that time in my life, I had shut everyone out. I was alone, and I hated who I was. I hated the world I was in, and I just felt like no one cared for me. And so kind of moving into the end of high school, I had started to realign my relationship with God, and I started to get to know who He was, but I still had felt these empty holes of who I wanted to be and what I wanted to fill, because I was hanging out with the wrong crowd of people who didn't care about me and just wanted to bring me into the world and not grow in my relationship with Christ. And so coming to college, I was like, okay, I'm gonna find church, I'm gonna find a community that I need, I'm gonna find people who love me and care for me. And as many of you know, like that first year of college, that first semester hits hard, because it's like, I don't have people here. Who do I hang out with? I don't know anyone. And so me and my roommate actually made a commitment to find a church here, and we ended up finding the Well. And I was still really anxious. Like I was having panic attacks almost every night, laying on my bedroom floor crying. She had to witness a lot of it, and she was there for me. So shout out to her. But walking through that semester was really hard for me. And so I challenged myself to go on a spring break trip. And here, God changed my life in a way I'll never forget. And it was the first night we had a little worship session, and the devil was attacking me hardcore because I was on fire for God, and the devil was like, we're not allowing that to happen. So he was telling me all these things like, you're worthless, you don't matter, your anxiety rules your life, you don't belong here. Like, what are you doing? That's what my head was filled with. And I just felt like I was running at 1,000 miles per hour, and I couldn't breathe, and I just ran out of the room with no one watching, sprinted down the hallway to the bathroom, where within minutes, my leader, Katrina, found me crying on the floor and having a panic attack, and she didn't say anything. She just came in and started praying over me and speaking in tongues, and within like seconds, I just felt God's presence. I felt her, but I felt God's presence just wrapping around me. I just felt His breath coming into my lungs. And since that day, I haven't had a panic attack, and haven't really had anxiety, so that's really good. And moving on from that, I found a community here that I don't think will ever leave, and I just hope that every one of you here can feel fulfilled here in God's presence, and you can find friends, and just remember that you're not alone and that God's love endures forever. So this is why I worship.